My God, I had no idea what I was in for with this movie, and when it hit, oh baby, it hit and it went. It was going. I really want to talk about this crazy ass movie that I just walked out of. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Isaac Joel, and you are listening to The Critics. Today, we're going to be breaking down Magnolia Pictures' latest film, Normal, starring Bob Odenkirk, the man, the myth, the legend. For those that don't know a lot about Bob Odenkirk out there, if you've been living underneath a rock, he comes from a background of comedy, and then he started doing kind of low-key dramas. He was in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, of course, and now he's making his debut as an action hero star, and it's working for this guy. He came out a couple of years ago with a movie called Nobody, and I loved that movie. Not a lot of people liked Nobody too. I'm indifferent about vacation movies. You guys have heard me kind of rant and rave about this before in the past, but I enjoyed Nobody 2 for all of its flaws and everything. And I have to say, it comes all the way down to Bob Odenkirk. The guy is a beast. He is a monster when it comes to doing all these action choreography scenes. He does everything, at least as much as possible. You know, if it's something like him probably being like thrown out a window or hitting a car, something like that, that's obviously like insert body double. But other than that, when it comes to close and close, like hand to hand combat scenes, that is all him. That is 100% him. Nobody One was kind of like a sleeper hit. I actually had that movie on 4K. Can I bring it out 1 second for you guys? Here we go. I found it. Nobody. This is one of my favorite action films of all time because the premise is so simple. It's so low key. The performance is very, very nuanced. Bob Odenkirk gives such a great all-time performance in this particular film. And so when it comes to Normal in this movie, I kind of went in with these new expectations of like, all right, now the doors are wide open. Anything is possible for him at this point in his career. And he's really facilitating all these movies. You know, he's not really kind of like cherry picking these films. He's the one that's like helping write the scripts, producing them, coming up with the choreography and everything. And honestly, I don't know how this guy does it. It just seems like such a hidden talent from him that came out of nowhere, and it was just like really unexpected, but it works for him in so many ways, and he kills it. He kills it every time, no matter what it is that he's doing. Let's get right down to the nitty gritty of this movie. It's all about a small time sheriff who is kind of like a substitute teacher at this point because the town of Normal, Minnesota, yes, you heard me right, it's actually called Normal. And I was kind of blown away. I didn't even look it up or know if that's even a real town or just a fictional town for this case, but it was just seems kind of like really, really on the nose. I am not a big fan of the title itself. This kind of reminds me of another instance with like Crime 101 where like I really hated that title. I'm not a big fan of this title in particular, really. It just seems kind of like lazy in my opinion. I felt like they could have like reached a little bit deeper. But for all of this movie's flaws, and I do think this movie has quite a few, to be honest with you, it kind of lives up to its own like expectations and potential, but I feel like it's holding itself back a little bit. In this small town, their sheriff just passed away, and it's kind of like corrupted, and they're kind of being run by the Yakuza. And yes, again, you heard me right, the Yakuza. This movie takes kind of like big kind of like tropes. It's doing like Bullet Train, it's doing John Wick, it's doing Nobody. It's from all those producers and studio heads and guys like that, and they're all coming into this and kind of doing the exact same thing all over again. But this time it takes a real low budget scale with it. The cast is very small. There's really like nobody like famous in here besides Henry Winkler, of course. I gotta name him. He plays the mayor, the asshole mayor in this instance, and he's excellent. excellent in this film. I don't want to give away too much because this movie is one of those that has spoilers, and you're not going to want to know too much other than the basic premise that I just kind of gave you guys. The fact that the sheriff is kind of coming in, substituting as this town is kind of going in the transition period, but he has no idea that they're corrupted, but he starts putting the pieces together and unraveling this kind of mystery and this puzzle, and he finds out that the Yakuza has been hiding their money inside their bank, and now they're trying to kill the sheriff because he knows too much and, can't have a loose end. And Bob Odenkirk isn't one of those guys that's like a secret assassin. I was worried that he was going to be kind of like a Rambo or Rebel Ridge for any of those that saw that movie on Netflix. Highly recommend Rebel Ridge. Highly recommend it. It's kind of like a story that's been told time and time again where this guy comes in from a small town and kind of shake things up a little bit. The town is corrupted. They all go after him, and now it's up to him to kind of gun-ho make it through alive and do anything that he needs to make it through the next day and the night. This movie is very short. I think it's clocked in like around like 80 minutes. So you're really just kind of in and out. That's one of my complaints. I wish that it was a little bit longer so you have more time to explore it and dive more deeper into these characters, because I felt like the script was really weak. The storytelling, the dialogue, the setup, there's this kind of annoying voiceover that's happening throughout the entire film, from the beginning and all the way down to the end, where he's like, narrating. It's kind of like a voiceover. In the context of the film, he's on the phone with his wife, who we never see or hear from. I'll get into that a little bit later. But it's kind of really irritating because he's really just filling in the exposition, filling in the void, catching you up on like, hey, and this is where we're at today, and this is how I got here, and this is what we're doing now. Where honestly, I didn't need any of that. This film is shot like an A24 movie, but it's written like a child with its like dialogue and its like setup and its foreshadowing and all of that. I just found all that to be really lazy, kind of annoying and frustrating, because I was able to kind of just put two and two together at the end of the day. And what really caught my interest with the movie like this is truly the relationships and the chemistry amongst all the strange people in this town. You really are fond of everybody. Everybody is really likable. There's, the mailman, there's the ice cream man, there's the bartender, there's the mechanic, there's the sheriff, there's the mayor. There's all these people that are spread all across the town. They all have their own different jobs. I think there's one lady that runs like kind of like a crochet store. And they're doing everything they can to fight off tourists, fight off people that are coming in, trying to like price check them with Amazon, because they're a small town. And so they really take pride in that, like, okay, we're going to price everything in the market all the way up as much as we can. And they just kind of drive out everybody until all that's left is the town themselves. And all these people are in on it. All of them know that the Yakuza essentially runs the town. And when Bob Odenkirk finds this stuff out, he's, again, not like this secret ninja assassin or MMA fighter or a boxer or military guy, has no training at all. He's just a dude trying to survive the night. And that premise alone was really dope and really interesting to follow. I thought where the story and the script felt a little weak, it really makes up for that with all of its brutal action. Oh, man, this movie had me in a whirlwind, I have to tell you, because when it first started, it was really slow. I was getting a little bored and uninterested. I was like, oh man, where are we going with this? I have no idea how things are going to shake up a little bit. I did not watch the trailer. I think the trailer was like damn near close to 3 minutes. I do my best not to watch trailers much these days. I know it's fun to do the trailer reactions and everything, but when you really go inside the movie and know as little as possible beyond like the poster and maybe a little bit about the synopsis and the cast, you're so surprised and caught off guard by all of those moments this movie is one of those like, oh my God, jump out of your seat screaming. Oh my God. I had no idea what I was in for with this movie. And when it hit, oh baby, it hit and it went. It was going all the way. Bob Odenkirk doesn't miss. Like, that cannot be emphasized enough and clearly. The man is a freaking action star. Let him do whatever he wants. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Gerard Butler, where the dude is extremely talented and can really just do anything that he wants to, any gig that comes his way, but he chooses not to do that stuff, help write and facilitate and produce his own kind of scripts with other studios and take these kind of like riskier projects. And this is a really risky project, I think, but in the long run, oh man, it's worth it. I had a friend of mine that went and saw this at a South by Southwest, and he told me it was freaking batshit crazy, and I was like, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see what it is that you're telling me, but when I'm there, and oh man, did this movie deliver? There are two pivotal moments in this movie, and once you see it, you'll know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. One involving Henry Winkler, and the second involving the Yakuza towards the very end. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to tell you when it happens, what happens. But when these moments came on screen, I literally just jumped out of my seat and was like, okay, what movie am I watching? Because at one point, it's a drama. It's very serious, and it's really trying to give a strong performance with Bob Odenkirk and kind of his background and his backstory, and when he's kind of like talking to like all the other characters and bonding with them, and the bartender and the former mayor's daughter. He has like a drink with her, and it's a really nice moment. He's really a caring and thoughtful guy, and I really appreciate the type of person that he was. This movie becomes a high octane action flick for the next like 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden, pump the brakes, it completely stops, and it becomes a straight up comedy kind of Weekend at Bernie's type of situation where they have to clean up the mess and pretend like, oh, nothing ever happened, to try and trick the Yakuza that like, oh, everything's good here, you know, no need to worry. And it is so damn hilarious. That is where his like kind of comedy chops start to step in a little bit and take over in the film. And this movie really feels like at least 3 to 4 different types of genres blended into one. And I thought that was really fascinating and interesting how they did that. I just felt like with the script, it was lacking a little bit of substance. It was lacking a little bit more depth from its characters and the backstory that kind of came with them to kind of help enrich the story further and go even deeper with it. I wish that we could have seen like his wife and known a little bit more about her. I didn't really feel satisfied when I walked away from it as an audience. I felt like the movie really is entertaining and fulfills all those promises of like, you're gonna be blown away, you're gonna see something just completely unexpected that you're not gonna realize. And I feel like it delivers on all of that, but it kind of is a little bit shortchanged in its performances and going even further with the script. I think it could have been easily like closer to 2 hours. I feel like with these action movies, they're kind of like come and go. You know, they don't really stay too long with you. And hey, man, honestly, I would have stayed longer for a story like that where you get to know and connect more with the character without him having to inner monologue and explain everything to you as it's happening, like he's like Spider-Man narrating everything in the comic books. I just felt like that was really a strange choice. I felt like that was an editing choice, and it was kind of like an afterthought at the end of the day, and they didn't really care that much about the script because they knew that all these epic set pieces were going to deliver. And oh boy, do they deliver. But man, the script felt really, really weak. And I don't know if that's because Bob Odenkirk is a little bit too attached to these movies. I kind of was wondering to myself when we were watching it, how dope would it have been if Bob Odenkirk played an Agent Coulson type character in the Marvel universe? That would be dope. I would love to see something like that. Him as like a Men in Black character doing these awesome action sequences, and he can fight along the Avengers. Anything like that. I think it's time for Bob Odenkirk to officially level up from these small action films, which are dope, which are epic, man. Again, it reminds me of Gerard Butler, where he does these movies like Cop Shop, Plane, or Greenland, Greenland 2. While I do think they are actually kind of cool and dope and inspiring, seeing someone go off and really believe in themselves like that, I really find the art and the beauty and all that. But I do think that we, as members of the audience, miss seeing these legendary movie stars on the big screen doing dope blockbusters. But I get it. It's really hard to come by a script that's like not corrupted by a bunch of studio heads and board members, and so they really kind of get turned off by everything that's happening mainstream, and they want to go off and do these independent films, and it works for them at the time, and it really kind of helps them stretch their muscles a little bit, literally in this case for Bob Odenkirk. I wanted to look up the director of this film because I was really interested to see what other types of projects he's worked on, and this guy's name is Ben Wheatley, and the only thing that came up from his whole IMDb page that was kind of like notable recently is Meg 2 The Trench. Yeah, that Jason Statham movie with the giant shark chasing after him with the speedboat. Oh my god, man. I did not watch that movie, so I'm just judging it based off the poster alone. But this director, my point being, doesn't seem like someone that has anything on his page that really kind of stands out to me. So I think a movie like this, like Normal, is really kind of low key, probably going to be like one of his greatest films that he's made. Because of the style that they leaned in with again, it's this John Wick type action, and it's taking over everything now. Every genre, everything has to have this John Wick level type of story with it, with coins and and all this kind of like rich history, which I do think is cool. There's a lot of love about this movie Normal, and there's a lot of kind of hate and be irritated by it. I felt myself kind of being pulled between the two, feeling not quite satisfied, but definitely entertained at the end of the day, which is all that you can really ask for. So with that being said, I'm going to rate Normal 7 out of 10. I think there are a lot of dope moments throughout this movie where the action really gets into these insane high-end moments where you kind of just don't believe what the hell is happening, and you feel like you're living in this insane dream and nightmare, but no, it's actually happening. And the movie just kind of goes off the rails, man, and I loved it. I loved all of those insane moments. I laughed, I jumped out of my seat. I thought this movie was really, really dope and fascinating. I think you guys should definitely check it out this weekend once it hits theaters. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it. What's your favorite Bob Odenkirk film to date? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, I have been your host, Isaac Joel. I really appreciate you guys always hearing me rant and rave about these movies. I love doing this stuff. I'm very, very grateful for having these opportunities. I really want to give a huge shout out to Movies More Fun. They've been keeping me in the game for so long when people didn't really believe in me. They've been allowing me to still kind of participate and check out these flicks and review them and talk about them. And I really kind of just am so grateful for having this platform with you guys. And I see the comments, I see everything that you guys say, and it really kind of just keeps me going, because sometimes I question, like, who the hell really cares what I have to think about anything. And I truly believe it's because I'm a big fan of these movies. I don't think that I'm better than anyone else. I consider myself just, kind of your average Joe, your regular guy that is just a fan of all of these different levels of genres and storytellings, and movie making magic. And I see everything that my friends are doing out there, and it inspires me to kind of just want to keep going, guys. So I really appreciate your support throughout all these years. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep climbing this mountain. It's been a very long journey, and a very, very struggling journey, if I may say so myself, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I love talking about films with you guys. I love making movies. For a lot of you that don't know that about me, I'm a director. I'm a photographer right out here in Phoenix, Arizona. I do this full time. I work with a real estate company. I work with a lot of businesses. I do music videos, weddings, short films, editing, cinematography, writing, directing, whatever really my kind of heart navigates me. We just released our film, and we're going to be releasing the DVDs now in a couple of weeks, and we're really excited about that for Midnight Uprising. And I've been kind of chilling and finding my way now as an artist, and whatever kind of life takes me. I have a lot of exciting things planned for this summer. I got accepted into Tribeca Film Festival to be a member of the press and kind of go to this red carpet premiere, and kind of talk to all of the celebrities there, interview them. And so I'm really excited about that opportunity. I'm hoping everything kind of follows through. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm still waiting for the schedule to come out, so I really have no idea what they're showing, when they're showing it, what days I'm going to be out there, how I'm getting out there. I've planned a significant part of the trip out already. I've put away money to the side for it, which isn't easy at all. But when you get an opportunity like this, I really kind of just go running and going full sprinting for it, because, not a lot of opportunities come around for, small critics and people like me. I'm not someone that has, thousands of subscribers. I don't have a huge platform. I understand that. I get that. But it does seem like I have hardcore fans out there and people that appreciate my opinion. And, I want to steer you guys in the right direction. I would never steer you guys wrong. I'm always giving it to you guys straight. And, sometimes I meet up with my friends, and, we argue and we bicker and we go over, what we think, what movie works and what movie doesn't. And, that just keeps the culture and everything alive, man. So, as always, I've been your host, Isaac Joel. I'll catch you guys next time.